In a press briefing, Deputy Chief Minister Prestone Tynsong informed newspersons about the items in the agenda that had been discussed at the Cabinet meeting held today, the 7th of December 2020. One of the items in the agenda is on the creation of a Centre of Diploma Studies for existing medical practitioners of the state who would like to pursue further specialization. This had earlier been proposed by the Health Department of Meghalaya and was approved by the Cabinet in today's meeting.
There was a proposal from Health Department for creation of a special training to the physician, the MBBS, where it can be called specialist. I think you are all aware, those MBBS who wanted to continue their further studies as PG or as specialists, they can go outside the state, and then their duration of studies is more or less 3 years. So today, I'm happy to inform you that the Health Department has proposed diploma training course for the MBBS, which is more or less, of course, below the below the specialist, but of course they will be called also specialists. Those MBBS who wanted to continue in their study for specialization, they can do that. And then today, the proposal submitted by Health Department, it is approved that henceforth those MBBS who wanted to continue their further studies within the state, the government will create and set up a training center which is recognized all over the state. And the duration of this training is for 2 years, not 3 years. It is 2 years. Then, and after completion of this training, they will be called a specialist. But of course, below the normal specialist, where they need to go outside the state in different medical college. So this is a good news to the medical fraternity, where from now on they'll be able to continue their studies for 2 years. As you also know, we have huge shortage of specialist doctors. As of today, the shortage that we have is not less than 121 numbers of specialist doctors. So with this initiative taken by the government, I'm sure after 2 years from now, we will be able to have our own specialists, maybe 20, 30, according to the academic year which they start, and within no time, I'm sure we will not have any kind of shortage on the specialist doctors.
Further on, the Deputy Chief Minister Prestone Tynsong also informed media persons about other items in the agenda that were also discussed in today's Cabinet meeting.
Starting from 11:30, and few decisions were taken as per the Cabinet memo brought in by different departments. Number one is the proposal brought in by the Industries Department for approval of the Cabinet on the draft of Meghalaya Procurement Preference Policy for Micro and Small Enterprises 2020. See, what happened was, I just wanted to brief you for your understanding. Previously, the state government used to adopt one preferential act, which we adopted that act on the basis of those units, any private unit set up within the state of Meghalaya. Any units means any producing units set up in the state. So 10% preference is given to these local entrepreneurs who produce their items, who produce the item needed in different departments of the government. So now we are going to repeal that previous act, and we will put it in place this again this Meghalaya procurement preference policy for micro and small enterprises, because as you are aware that the government of India has encouraged now the micro and small enterprises to set up in the respective states in the country, and also to encourage their products for using it in the states, in their concerned states, as the case may be. So therefore the cabinet has approved the draft Meghalaya procurement preference policy for micro and small enterprise 2020. That is the point number one, the agenda number one. Then the agenda number two, again from Power Department, where we have adopted the guidelines formulated by the Ministry of Power, Government of India, relating to payment of compensation towards the place of right of way, ROW, right of way for the transmission line. And this guideline was circulated by the Ministry of Power, Government of India, and state government of Meghalaya also adopted these guidelines. As all the states in India, they have to adopt that guidelines drafted and circulated by the Ministry of Power. So next agenda was relating to the proposal of holidays for the year 2021, prepared by the GAD department. So as usually done, the proposed list of holidays for the year 2021 is again approved by the cabinet, brought in by the General Administration Department, Government of Meghalaya. Again, the next agenda from Health Department, proposal for approval of the draft Meghalaya Nursing Council Rules 2020 and the Meghalaya Nursing Council Regulations 2020. In fact, the Meghalaya Nursing Council Act 1992 was notified, and till today the rules was not framed, and accordingly today rules and regulations was drafted by the department concerned, Health Department, and the cabinet is pleased to approve the drafted rule proposed by Health Department. So we also approve the proposal for amendment of the Meghalaya Minor Mineral Concession Rules 2016. Few amendment was made from Forest Department, and the amendment is inclusion of two more items. One is extraction of minor minerals from agricultural field for betterment of the agricultural land, okay? Because in that area it was excluded, and now it is allowed that any extraction of minor minerals, be it boulder, be it sun, be it earth, it is allowed, but it should be as per the prescribed norms or the process of getting a mining lease or a quarry permit has to be done by the concerned stakeholders. So we have included that. And then number two is extraction of minerals which is incidental in nature, means again the be it a boulder or be it any items. Sometimes, when I construct a house, suppose now I construct a house. So while taking up the land development, so I found out maybe a big boulders, big stones were there. So ultimately we have to break that stone, that rock, and then it becomes a boulder, and that boulder can is considered to be incidental where it is allowed for transportation or for selling of that item. So these are the two items which ultimately the government has approved the proposal. So the last one, oh no, the next one, the next issue. The next subject brought in by Law Department is relating to amendment of Rule 12 of the Meghalaya State Legal Services Authority Rules 1998. And small changes was proposed by the concerned department, and that amendment or that changes is relating to the salary of the members of the Meghalaya State Legal Services Authority rules. And the now this the entitlement of the members is raised from 1 lakh rupees to 3 lakh rupees. From 1 lakh to 3 lakh rupees. And the cabinet has approved this proposal too. And the last agenda, we discussed in detail about the rules, the draft rules brought in by Labor Department, and the rules is relating to the act approved and notified on during this year only, during this month only. And the name of that act, I think you remember, all of you, is known as Meghalaya Identification, Registration in bracket Safety and Security of Migrant Workers Act. Migrant Workers Act 2020. And now the Labor Department has brought the draft rules on the above act, and ultimately the cabinet is pleased to approve the rules as drafted by Labor Department. And this once these rules is in place, implementation for registration of the laborers will immediately take off. Okay, do you have any question on this?